It's been a CrossFit Games unlike any other here inside Dickies Arena. The 2024 version starting with 9 teams remaining on the platform for 1 minute, and just CrossFit Mayhem moving out onto the floor during the first event in memory of a former Mayhem athlete at one point, Lazar Jukic, who passed away during event 1 of individual competition on Thursday. The teams all gathering together for a moment of silence as well after this morning's 6th and penultimate event here at the 2024 CrossFit Games. All in memory of Lazar Jukic as our 7th and final event for the teams starts next. Inside Dickies Arena, and the first appearance of the snail for team competition at the 2024 CrossFit Games. It's the Beasts of Burden final event, event 7, heat 1, here in Fort Worth, Texas. Alongside Andy Sakamoto, one of the original Nasty Girls, Lauren Smith is our reporter down on the floor. My name is Joel Godette. Glad you're all with us today. Glad you're allowing us to be with you to cap off a weekend like no other in CrossFit Games history. Our standings to this point see Raw Iron Mayhem, Thunder, on top of the leaderboard. They were able to surpass Torian last night to wear the leader's jersey for the first time in this competition this morning, and then Peak 360 making a charge. Started this competition with a 9th place finish and had to climb up from there. They win their 2nd event of the competition this morning and close the gap with 512 points ahead of CrossFit Torian in our podium picture. All right, Amy, let's talk about what Beasts of Burden is.
It's quick. It's a 120-foot snail push, and that snail weighs 720 pounds, Joel. 1 male and 1 female pushing at a time. Then they'll perform 80 synchro deadlifts, 225 for the ladies, 315 for the men, a male and a female working at one time, and then they'll push that snail back down to the finish line, 120 feet to finish. 18-minute time cap on this. Steps for success. 1, you gotta push hard, and I don't just mean on that snail. This is the last event of the 2024 CrossFit Games. It is time to empty the tank. And then you need to pull smart. So on those deadlifts, what are manageable sets that you can recover from and get back on that bar to work for your team?
Down to Lauren Smith, the 3rd member of our crew.
Thanks, Joel. In a Games unlike any other, an element of familiarity as the snail returns to the floor. It debuted in 2016 with the individuals. We last saw it in the team competition back in 2019. And this 720-pound implement is full of sand. It is nigh impossible for the average person to shift. But these guys are going to give it a very good go.
Well, thank you. As we take a look at our teams 11 through 20 in our first heat, we cut 20 teams this morning on the final day of competition. One of the 3 Oceanic teams, CrossFit EXF in lane 10, all the way into CrossFit Querétaro in lane 7. The Mexican crew, the first team from Mexico to qualify for the CrossFit Games, but it's also a team made up of several athletes from South America and a chance to be the best Latin American team ever at the CrossFit Games. Currently at 14th, the best previous 18th by Big Fred Recoleta in 2018.
You saw CrossFit Oslo Krieger Pixel had written LD on their snail, so every time that snail rolls over, it's a reminder of Lazar.
You've got a male and a female athlete working on this snail. You can change as needed, but you always need 1 male and 1 female. And you're starting to see, Andy, the hardest part of this might be keeping these snails in a straight line.
Exactly, and teams are responsible for keeping their snails within their lane. Like you said, only 1 male and 1 female can push at a time. Teammates can help if they start to get out of their lane, but they have to only have 2 people pushing at one time.
What's the best way you get leverage here, Andy?
You gotta get low. You gotta get down low so that you can get those legs involved.
720 pounds, as you heard Lauren say, it's filled with sand, so it really never gains momentum. The weight is always at the bottom of this implement. It's the equivalent of pushing 2 fully grown panda bears down the floor. Good luck.
Some of these teams tripping over each other on the transfer. A lot of having to readjust that snail. CrossFit 11:24, quick on that first push down.
And this is an event that they have been waiting for, wanting nothing more than to grab a barbell and deadlift. Wheelhouse event for this 11:24 bar.
I'm guessing the bunch right next to them, Ocean State CrossFit, has also been flopping at the bit to get their hands on that deadlift bar. Another really strong team. $225, $315, Joel. Not a super heavy weight for these athletes at this point in the CrossFit history, but when you think about everything that they've done this weekend, I'm sure legs and backs are pretty taxed, and that 315, 225 feels a little heavier than it does in training.
We're going to 80 synchronized reps. Chipping away. Likely smaller sets.
Yep, you gotta do something that you can recover from, Joel. If you've ever deadlifted heavy for numerous reps in a workout, you know if you take yourself a little too deep, it really taxes the nervous system, and it's hard to kind of come back out of that. So short sets with short rests while your partner goes is a really good idea on these deadlifts.
Quick changes every 4 or 5 reps here.
Exactly, you can see 11:24 on about a 5-rep change right there.
Ocean State surge, trying to work their way up the leaderboard as well. You can see Josh Mattis lifting on the left across from Christine Middleton. Josh Mattis was on the CrossFit Believe team last year that never got to compete at the games because warming up the day before the games, already after check-in, Josh is the athlete that actually slipped off a handstand walk implement, and he quite literally broke his face. He went into surgery and told the doctors, "Don't give me any drugs, I have to pass a test." And they said, "Son, you're not competing." He went through multiple surgeries and a long road to recovery, but incredible that he's able to get back here and compete at the CrossFit Games in 2024.
Yep.
He's passed off to Ethan Helbig, who now lifts with Christine Best. 11:24 and Prestanda are the two teams still near the top of the leaderboard. There's Mattis, giving way back to Helbig. Josh has made the trip to Rhode Island from Missouri to train throughout the season.
There's that CrossFit Querétaro, like you said, trying to be the best Latin American team yet in a CrossFit Games appearance.
Team starting to close in on the 80 rep total and work their way back to the snail, and it is Ocean State that does so first. You can see on the left side of your screen, Ethan Helbig and Christine Middleton starting to move that 720 pounds down the runway.
Yeah, they have some good momentum on that snail. You can see they're kind of almost trying to run with their feet right there.
I was going to say the short choppy steps helps you out, doesn't it?
Yep, it does. As long as you can just keep those feet moving. Look at how easy Helbig and Christine Middleton are making that look. Quick readjustment.
A little bit easier when you're so far out in front, you don't have to worry about teams right next to you.
That's true.
Trying to establish the time to beat. With a second heat still to come in our final test for the teams, the Beasts Unburdened. This is it for the CrossFit Games for these teams. One final 120-foot snail push. 720-pound input. Ironically, 719 pounds heavier than an actual snail.
But it doesn't move much faster than an actual snail.
Underneath the A-frame rig, you've got to get to the red line here. Ocean State is going to end 2024 with their best performance of the CrossFit Games. That's a heat win. Ocean State surge over the line. Unofficially in 5:43.
Well, I'm going to say they beat that 18-minute time cap pretty easily, Joel?
Just a little bit. We could do this event 3 more times.
Yeah. Now you can see 11:24 getting close to the finish line. But CrossFit Preston is trying to make a move on them.
11:24 asking for some noise. Riley Good threw his hands up in the air. A little bit of extra push. Gets that team across the line second. Prestanda, the European champions out of semifinals, finished in 6:28. We're going to get 10 teams across here in our final test. Oslo Riz done. All 3 Oslo teams making it through the cut 2 today.
Very impressive.
Only the second affiliate to put 3 teams at the games, along with CrossFit Mayhem.
You can see this last little bit is the hardest bit, Joel.
Holistic.
Getting through that A-frame.
Oslo pixel on the left side of your screen. Last small push over that red line. And CrossFit Libby is done. All 10 teams in 7 minutes and 21 seconds to conclude the team portion for them of the 2024 CrossFit Games.
Ocean State CrossFit, 5:43.88, smoking fast time. You can see they call it the snail for a reason, Joel. It does not move fast. CrossFit 11:24 was the first one to their bar. They did a great job getting that snail down, but it was Ocean State CrossFit that made the move on the barbell and on that final push down the lane. And they come out with a heat win in 5:43.88, just behind them. CrossFit 11:24, 6:19.
11:24 in second. Shouts to Brooklyn Lander, by the way. Those in the know. Incredible competition. Final heat is next.